You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 on Instagram and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
What's up, everyone? Benny Gold here, founder of Lawyer Stories and host of the Lawyer Stories podcast. I'm truly grateful to have Adaptabar sponsor this podcast episode for us. Why? Because when I took the bar exam and needed help with the multi-state bar examination, I used Adaptabar and I passed. Adaptabar is an online MBE program, and one thing I loved about the program are the authentic MBE questions paired with an adaptive algorithm that is proven to accurately predict your MBE score. I remember when I sat for the MPRE, I needed to see questions written like they were going to appear on the actual exam, and Adaptabar had everything I needed to pass the MBE. Please contact me anytime with questions about the program and to discuss my success with Adaptabar. You may use promo code LS20, that's LS20, for $30 off your enrollment with Adaptabar. Wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves. Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold, episode 11. Today, we welcome Christine Schafer, owner of the Legacy Law Firm and office in Coral Springs and Dolly Beach. Welcome, Christy. Good to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, so Christy practices probate, estate planning, and elder law. And Christy was first featured September 26, 2017. You had a great story. You're like one of the originals. And Christy also came out to the first ever collaborative Lawyer Stories party, which we had with Sidebar, South Florida. We had a lot of fun there, so it was nice to connect. Christy also was featured August 3rd, 2018 via video. That's when we first got into doing videos on the feed. So it was definitely cool to hear more of your stories. So how are you doing there in sunny Florida?
We're doing really well. I guess the state's going to start opening up, I think, this month. So I'm slowly going to start seeing clients, but of course, taking all precautions with that and wearing the masks and all that. But at least we have good weather. We were just talking about that. So we've got some sunshine, and you just got to take what you can get at these times as far as being grateful for things.
For sure. And I'm in Massachusetts, and as of the date of recording, May 9th, we did wake up to snow this morning. So it's definitely a bizarre world out there. Just everything happening right now. But so let's dive in. Like when we featured you September 26, 2017, we actually launched in July 2017. So this wasn't too far after that. We connected on Instagram. You wrote a story. It was very compelling. You're from the Northeast. I'm a Northeast guy. You're from Rhode Island, correct? Yep. Okay. So you talked about growing up in like a low-income family and like having to do everything for yourself. And I don't know if you wanted to talk a little bit about that before we get into some other parts of your story.
Yeah, sure. So of course I had two parents, but my mom raised my sister and I, and she had to actually work 3 jobs for most of my life. The main job being cleaning houses.
Right.
And she would clean really nice houses when we actually moved to Florida. But growing up with a single parent, because she couldn't really find anyone to watch us, my sister would end up cleaning these houses with her. And I was always responsible for emptying the trash. So that's my job.
I try to do that too when I can remember at my house, but
yeah. So. But it builds character. So
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I'll wait until we get to that point, but everybody in life has certain circumstances probably that contribute to where they end up. And that was definitely one contributing factor to why I am where I am today and who I am today.
Right. And it was interesting because when I hear you speak about it, it almost connects to the video that we featured you August 3rd, 2018, almost a year later, where this is a quote from the video. Chrissy, you can either clean the office or you can run the office. Like, tell us a little bit about that.
I think actually, so that was when I was in high school. And like I mentioned, we were in Florida at this point where she was cleaning these really nice houses. They were just under $1 million. And I was definitely over cleaning them. You know, when you're a teenager, you start to discover what you want for yourself and the kind of person you want to be. And I found myself in this office, in this house, beautiful office, and I was supposed to be taking the trash out again, but I was just sitting in the chair, and I wasn't opening drawers or anything, but I kind of was just, I wanted to feel what that was like, and kind of, I'm daydream, I guess, that this was my house and this was my office. And she found me, and I was worried that she was going to get upset that we were a little off task because we wanted to get home, of course, and just be done with it. But she used it as an opportunity to teach me. She was really big, and she still is, on education, because unfortunately it's not that she wanted, to clean houses for her life. She didn't have an opportunity to go to school. She actually bounced around in group homes as a child. So she told me that, again, like, you go to school, you do something better than this, and you don't have to clean the office. You can own an office and you can run the office. And so that just really stuck with me.
Right. And so, I mean, that was big motivation, and that was a moment. I mean, you had the moment in life where, your mother said something and it really made an impression. And so I went to your website, and I really liked the quote on your website, right? So it's, my personal experiences have fueled my desire to educate and help as many people as I can. That is my purpose. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that quote on your website?
Yeah. So I wasn't really sharing the story about my dad. When I first got into the legal industry, I kind of felt like it wasn't appropriate. But after I met a couple of clients that felt as though they were really able to connect because of this story, that's what you were reading about, is actually the death of my father. So like I mentioned earlier, these circumstances, right, that push you in a certain direction. One being growing up with my mom and her pushing education, and this idea that I should, own an office. And I actually originally wanted to be a veterinarian. I was at UF on the veterinary track, and I wanted to own my own practice. But my dad died. I was 21, and when people pass away and they had remarried and they don't have an estate plan in place, like him, he didn't have anything in place, it essentially just cuts off your children from prior relationships. And so for me, I'm not materialistic. I didn't care that I didn't get anything from my dad, but it was actually a big disaster. I don't know how my dad's remains were handled, as far as that's what he wanted. I don't even know where they are. There was no funeral. I wasn't invited. I was cut off. And so that experience at 21 was definitely an eye-opener. I wanted to help other people. I didn't know how, and I had a good friend that encouraged me. His name's Jonathan, and he's a lawyer now too, to just check out a pre-law class. He was saying that situation like this, I could maybe help other people. And so I did. I checked out a pre-law class, I took it, and it went really well, and I ended up changing my major. So those little, situations, I wanted my own office, I wanted my own practice, and then losing him, I just wanted to prevent that from happening to other people. And if it did happen, I wanted to be there for them.
That's amazing. So was it sudden with your dad? Is that what happened? Like, was it a sudden thing?
When you're 21, or at least for me, I was a very young-minded 21, a very sheltered 21. So I was probably my mind wasn't even as mature as it should have been. He was sick with COPD and emphysema, but I didn't really think he was, ever going to die. I didn't really think he was sick, and I talked to him on Thursday, and it was a bit of a weird conversation because he was, he sounded different, more serious. He was telling me, I want you to take this and this and that when I pass. And I'm like, why are we talking about this? This is silly. And then he just said, put your mom on the phone. And that was Thursday. And by Sunday, he was dead.
Wow. I'm sorry you had to go through that. That was.
Oh, no. I mean, it just turned it into a positive. So,
and I think you already just described it. But one question I do like to ask the guests on the show is about the epiphany that you have. Like, was it in college when your friend Jonathan said, take a pre-law course, and then you took the course? The epiphany when you said, man, I want to be a lawyer. Like, was that was part of it, right? Was that it, or was there a different time that you sort of, it hit you and you were like, okay, this is what I'm doing?
Yeah, it definitely was the start of it. Afterwards, I really, I'm a very cautious person. Before I do anything in life, I really take my time. So I actually took 2 years off after graduating the University of Florida, and I worked as a manager in retail. Not that I wanted to do that, but I wanted to just make sure that I was ready to let go of what I previously wanted and embrace this, new thing. And I did. And I went for it. I started the law school experience. And then as I went through it, because of course, when my dad died, it wasn't like, well, I want to be an estate planning and probate lawyer. I didn't even know what that was.
Right.
But you go through those courses and you meet people and you're like, okay, this is the right track. I actually can help people, prevent what I went through, or I can be there for them if they have to go through it.
Right. So where in Rhode Island are you from?
I was born in Providence, and I grew up, we kind of hopped around Providence, Johnston, and Cranston for a little bit.
Right. I went to law school in Rhode Island. So when did you move to Florida?
When did I move to Florida?
Yeah.
I moved to Florida actually in 1992. So I was really young. And I went to, I was like 8 or 9 years old.
Okay.
My whole family is still in Rhode Island though, to this day. My brother just recently moved to California, but I go back all the time.
So this is just sort of not really off topic, but I'm curious. I have cousins who went to UF. What was your experience like being, I mean, you weren't in the Northeast that long, but did you enjoy Florida, going to college in Florida and like Nova? And I know you're a Nova graduate, right, from law school?
I am. Nova was actually my safety school, but everything worked out exactly the way it was supposed to, because my heart is always in New England. I love Boston. That's where I was either going to go to Roger Williams or back to Boston and live there, but my grandmother got sick and I didn't leave, and that's a whole nother story. But my experience going to college in Florida was great. I mean, the University of Florida, it's very beautiful, and it has the trees that remind me of the Northeast, and it actually has a little bit of a winter. So I really liked it. But
yeah, I'm a UMass Amherst graduate, so I thought like it would be cool to do. I didn't, like an exchange like around across the country would have been cool, but I think I would have really liked to be like at Florida State or something for a semester at least.
Florida State's a fun school.
I wish
I did it.
I was a ZBT and like president of my fraternity, and I thought it would be fun to like go and check out like a big chapter. But anyway, that's a story for another time and like maybe a cocktail. So tell us, what exactly is probate and estate planning?
Okay, that's a good question. So estate planning is really just taking time in advance to put documents in place that prepare for either your own incapacity. So if you get sick, either temporarily or long-term disabled, you have important documents in place like the durable power of attorney, living will, designation of healthcare surrogate, and then of course planning for the management or even the distribution of your assets after your death, which is usually accomplished through either a last will and testament and a revocable trust. And then probate is what takes place when it's really just a court process when someone passes away. You own assets at your death, right? Your estate is made up of all your assets, maybe your home, your bank account, investment accounts, that sort of thing. Well, hopefully you took the time before you passed and either put an estate plan in place or retitled those assets to keep it out of the probate court. But if you didn't, and those assets, you die and they are just in your name and they don't have beneficiaries, well, probate is that court process then of moving those assets through the court system and ensuring that they get to the right beneficiaries. And that can either be done according to the law, which is the intestate statutes and testacy law, or according to a will if you have one.
Okay, wow, that's a great explanation. You could hear the passion too in your voice about being able to help clients. So I can appreciate that. Did you have a mentor or like somebody who was in the field who sort of showed you the way, or how did you get so fluent in the language of wills and estates and trusts?
My last year of law school, I had a mentor in terms of, the bar exam and just kind of like life advice. And that was Judge Bob Diaz, and he's still great and he's still there. But as far as a mentor in my industry, no. I taught myself probate with estate planning. I've always been a little bit of a sponge. I just watched people around me and then really just dived into CLEs and books. And then my first job gave me an opportunity to get up my hands and feet wet rather. So that's really it. I taught myself. I mean, anybody that's a lawyer, and you probably know this too, I mean, it's really a lot about teaching yourself and trial and error.
Yeah, for sure. You really have to, especially when you don't have somebody showing you step by step, or who will allow you to make a few mistakes. You really got to go at it yourself. I mean, that's why we get the license. So like moving on to the legacy law firm, that's your firm, Florida. So, I mean, do you like being the owner of a firm? Like, how do you like being an employer?
I really do, actually. I really do. I love being a business owner more than anything. I love being a lawyer, obviously, don't get me wrong, because I get to help people and be there for them in the way that I mentioned earlier. But owning a practice is a lot of fun. And I think at some point in the future, I want to build my firm to where it's basically other lawyers and paralegals and staff working together, and me just kind of overseeing everything. Because running the business is my favorite part. I just love the metrics, the marketing, the managerial part. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Good. It is. Yeah.
Do you have employees right now? Like, do you have a paralegal? Cool.
Yep. We just hired a paralegal, a senior paralegal. She's great. We're still trying to, I guess, train her in the sense of the way that I want things done, and that's, forcing me to kind of put some new procedures in place. We had a law clerk. She just graduated last year, and she's studying for the bar. Okay. And then we have a couple of people behind scenes helping with marketing, but that's really it right now. I have plans to hire someone. I wanted to hire them this year, but with COVID-19, obviously things have changed. So hopefully next year will be the year that we can bring in an associate. Hopefully that will alleviate a lot of me seeing clients face to face, so I can focus more on the business.
Yeah, that's great. So what's like your biggest challenge as a business owner, would you say?
For me, it's been making time for me to actually market and do sales and that sort of thing. Like, I'm very hands-on. I still want to have my hand in everything. I want to be a part of the drafting and a part of seeing the client and following up with the client. And so it's really hard to kind of delegate things away and to really feel comfortable just kind of stepping back from it. Right. So that's been hard, but I know that's going to prevent growth.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So a lot of law school graduations couldn't happen this year because of COVID. I mean, they might do them virtually or whatnot, but like, what advice do you have for anybody either considering a career in the law or somebody who's just graduated, either or? What would you tell them?
If you're considering a career in law, I wish I knew the author. There was a book I read I think it was called Bridging the Gap. That was really good. And it kind of gives you an idea of the difference of, your undergrad experience versus your law school experience. And it is and it's going to be very different in law school. So you really have to prepare your mind, I think, first. Prepare your mind to be strong going in, because the Socratic method, as well as your peers, will really kind of, they can really get in there, and like impact your performance and everything, right? It's like,
I mean, I was talking about, I think the first 3 episodes I did, I just kept bringing up the Socratic method and like how I would just be like trying to write, and like maybe the professor would see me like taking a note and not calling me, but it was pretty
anxiety, right?
You just psych yourself out about it,
Exactly. Like I had no idea what I was getting into, but I would have loved that advice, because then I would have been in that moment. I'd been like, I was ready for this. I knew this was coming, but I didn't know it was coming.
Oh God.
Right. I mean, just prepare mentally for that. And I would also try to establish good habits. Like I wasn't working out regularly. I didn't have an outlet for my stress. And so it would just bottle up inside.
Oh man. Yeah. Those professors, some of them are ruthless, right? They go right down the row, like picking you off. It's like boom, 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 boom.
It's bad. I mean, luckily I don't embarrass easily, so I would just embarrass myself and say, I think this case is like about a banana. I think I said once, and there was no banana in this PI case, and they just moved on. I'm like, okay.
That's awesome. Well, that was. Or you can just say, well, it depends. It depends.
I know. I should have done that, and I probably would have gotten some points, because it usually does depend. But
right, it usually does. So, more serious topic. Obviously, we hope everybody out there is adhering to their local and state government guidelines for the pandemic. That is really a crazy world right now. Like, how has it affected your business, and like, what are you doing? Are you working a lot from home? I know you do take clients virtually too, or like, if that's how you call it, virtual in the state of Florida. Like, you can work with people over online and that sort of thing. So how has it affected you at all?
I was really concerned that it was going to in a negative way. I guess when you own a business, you're always trying to prepare for the worst, but we actually had our best month last month. I think that unfortunately the fear that people are feeling, or that it's forcing them to face their own immortality or mortality rather, but and facing the fact that they could become sorry, I know.
No, I just picked up on that. I wouldn't have even noticed if you hadn't stopped yourself.
I did. But it's forcing them to think about the fact that they could become disabled or that they could die one day. And a lot of times these topics make people really uncomfortable and they're not ready to sit down, but they were ready to get their estate plans in place. And unfortunately people were dying. So there are more probates coming in. The real big difference though is the actual procedure. So in Florida, we can't notarize or witness rather, just fully execute estate planning documents virtually until I think it's July 1st. So we've been able to basically help these clients all the way up until the point of their execution. And now we're able to start executing these estate plans this month, probably at the end of the month. But it's been important for me to not meet with people because my husband's a fire captain. And so he's in a fire department with these first responders that are responding to COVID-19 calls, and then he's coming home. So I don't want to put anybody at risk.
How is he doing?
He's good. I think the calls are kind of going down in numbers. It was at one point the calls were 50% COVID-19, which was scary for me too. But
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, congratulations on having your own firm and really like such a great story. I always love reading your story, and I'm really happy thank you for sharing it with everybody and for being a part of Lawyer Stories. Like when we first started, I know you.
Thank you for featuring me.
Yeah, no, of course.
There's one thing I have to add, because I'm really thankful that you created Lawyer Stories. And I know a lot of other lawyers felt this way. We see professionals, mostly doctors and nurses on social platforms. Instagram's a big one, where they have this place, this community that they're building with their own hashtags. And, it's great because they're very supportive of each other and you don't feel so lonely in your industry. And I always felt kind of I wish lawyers had that, because it can be really competitive and lonely. And then you created Lawyer Stories, and it's just such a great way for us to come together and to kind of connect and relate. And I really appreciate that you've created this.
Thank you. And it's been a journey too, so it's all part of my story. Lawyer Stories, we have Instagram at lawyer_stories. We have the Facebook page. We have those two communities. I launched a website, and now the podcast, the next big thing. So we want to keep going, keep growing, and make a huge community. That's what we're trying to do. And I'm glad you're a part of it, Chrissy. It's great to connect with you. How can everybody get a hold of you?
Oh, well, I'm available for anything as far as if you want me to help mentor you through law school. If you have questions as an estate planning or new probate lawyer or anything, please contact me. You can either email me directly at Christine, CHRISTINE at LLF as in Frank, the word plan.com. Or you can follow me on social media. I think my Instagram handle is just The Legacy Law Firm, and you can just direct message me. I'm always happy to help in any way that I can.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to tell to everyone today, or because we're about to wrap up?
No, just stay safe. And reach out if you need anything. And thank you so much again. I hope your little boy is doing good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, he's taking a nap right now, so that was a good time to do this. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to episode 11 of the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold. I'm having a great time. Reach out to me anytime if you have questions or whatnot. And wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves, but also be safe and take care. Cheers.
Bye.
The Lawyer Stories podcast is produced by Marketing the Law. Are you looking at your social presence every day? Potential clients are. Learn how to magnetize your brand with the help of Marketing the Law. Find us on Instagram at Marketing the Law to learn more.